Hi, welcome to our second Facebook Live styling workshop. I am so delighted and pleased to be hosting the second in our series. The first one got such a great response. I'm really thrilled about it. And I wanted to ensure that we tackled more of your questions. So thank you to everyone who sent in the questions that I've had a look through. I will be answering those questions as part of taking you through. Where I am is now in my own master bedroom. So welcome to my home. It's great to welcome you all here. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's not just registered, who's going to be watching this, whether live or later in the week. Because I will tell you that doing these workshops, although I've had such great feedback from everyone thanking me for the tips, what it's really helped to do for me is to motivate me to clear up the spaces in my home using this very valuable time. So I think there was a period in time where, you know, when the lockdown, or the circuit breaker as they call it here, wasn't going to be for as long as it is, and I kept procrastinating, thinking I will do it. And then when they announced it was another 4 weeks, I thought, well, there's plenty of time. But actually having to present my bedroom to you guys from my home just made me think, okay, I better get on it and start clearing it up. So thank you all for the great motivation that you've given me to get my spaces sorted, decluttered, so that I can show you some of the styling tips of how to achieve a cozy, comfortable bedroom that also doubles up as a sanctuary during this period where we're all stuck at home. I think a bedroom is so important to really be a space where you can retreat to and where you can actually just get away from the noise of the rest of the family and to find a little bit of time and space for yourself. So I've got my lovely daughter who's very kindly well, she didn't offer. I asked her to basically film me so that I can. Just coming over, Lara, come through, darling. Okay, so first and foremost, she's going to just take over now. Okay, so oh my goodness me. Okay. Hopefully, sorry, it's only our second Facebook Live workshop, so bear with me, we're going to get it there. So here, first and foremost, I'm going to take you through the same tip that I started off with when we did my living area. That is to always have any space that you style as an expression of who you are. So you can see that in the rest of my home, it's very colourful. And in my bedroom, I wanted slightly more mellower tones, but still with a punch of colour, so there's still a sense of vibrancy in it. So that's the first tip. Make sure that it's still an expression of who you are. It's got to be your comfort zone and where you retreat to. So just home in on what you would like it to be and just have the confidence to style it. Here are some tips to basically get that dream bedroom that you've always wanted. The bedroom, focal point, obviously the bed. Now Lara, if you can just show people, this is my bed. It's a king size bed, and I designed the bed with some very important stylistic tips. So if you come a little closer, you will see that I've got this headboard, and the headboard is something that I think is really essential in making your bed comfortable. If you look at it, it's actually quite high because we've got very high ceilings. And more often than not, I see people who show me photographs of their bedrooms and they say, you know, it's just so soulless. And the key thing that is always missing is a headboard. People just shove a bed against a wall and think, okay, that's functional. But if you want to make it comfortable, I always recommend having a headboard. It just creates that focal point and it gives it a sense of scale, so it isn't just a big block in the middle of the room. Now, I personally prefer upholstered headboards. That's my personal preference, and I looked around in Singapore for a good 5 years before I decided that I couldn't find a headboard that I liked, and so I designed this. I chose a fabric that was with a geometric pattern, but in a more neutral tone. This is a master bedroom, so it's got to balance both masculine and feminine. And what I did was to get that balance, the fabric in the dark grey with this quite strong masculine fabric, I've added a touch of a pop of pink. If you can see this fuchsia lining, piping rather, just along the corners, and that just helps to soften the look. Now if you don't have, if you already have a bed that has a headboard, example you bought the bed and it's got a wooden headboard or it's got a leather headboard, that's absolutely fine. Still, it's really important, I believe, to dress your bed so that it makes it inviting, it feels sumptuous, and that it makes you want to climb into the bed. So if you can't do it with the headboard, what are the other things that you could do? Cushions. Now I know there's a big debate between men and women. Women like to put a whole load of cushions, men don't see the point of it. So I would say don't go for that many cushions. If you look here, I have just picked up the pinks of this cushion to tie in with not just the piping of the headboard, but also with the pink in the lamps. So this just ties the whole thing together and it creates a more dressed bed. Now another thing that you could also do is a throw. Now this is a gorgeous antique throw that I picked up when I was on one of my design trips in Jaipur, and I'm going to show you how to use a throw to finish a bed as well. Now there's lots of different ways of doing it, but if your throw is big enough, I would say, Clara, if you could just go to the front, you will see that if you put it towards the end of the bed, how nicely that frames the entire area and it pulls it all together. I've got little bits of pink in here and there's neutral tones. This piece is really one of my favorites. I did bring in some, this was ages ago, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, when I first started up the business, and all of them sold, but I wouldn't part with this one, I kept it for myself. And the benefit of decluttering and tidying up my space, I found it, pulled it out and thought, oh my goodness, why haven't I been using it? So it's typical hoarding where you don't know what you're doing with it, but you know, you store it away. So this is a great way of dressing your bed. But my absolute top tip, it's really one of the things that I find the most essential tip, is my personal preference to have white sheets. White sheets are really reminiscent of a luxurious hotel. So when you go to a nice hotel, you'll always have to have clean, crisp white sheets. It makes such a difference. I see lots of photographs of clients showing me pictures of their bedroom, and there's patterned or coloured sheets, and that's fine. But if you're trying to then dress the bed to make it feel cozier, more comfortable, more inviting, it's really hard to pair something that's already patterned with cushions. You then have to just go for something that's really, you know, just one single color. It doesn't add that depth. So I'm going to say, when I take this off, you can see that the white sheets don't need to be boring. If you come a little bit closer, you can have white with a little bit of detail. You can see here, this has got a ribbed effect and there's a double lining to it. This is, I bought from a hotel collection years ago. Ensure you've got a good thread count. It makes a really good difference. Really good quality cotton sheets. Yes, they are a little bit harder to iron, but it's so much more comfortable, less itchy on the skin as well. Okay, so I'm going to put this throw down now. I'm going to move it back into the chaise longue, which I'm going to show you in a little bit in a while. But a throw in a bedroom, it just adds a little bit of texture, a little bit of colour, it keeps it interesting. Also, we all live in air conditioning, and it's a really good way for feeling a little bit cold. Instead of climbing into the duvet, you can just pull your throw over you and stay warm. Now, we've talked about dressing the bed. What happens at the end of your bed? This is a great way, if you stand back and try and get as much of the rug as possible. The rug is what's framing this bed, giving it that sense of luxury and that sense of a more finished feel to the room. So I've got a king size bed, and quite often people ask me what size rug should go for different size beds. By a rule of thumb, which I would not say is the only way, you can adapt it. If you've got a king size or a super king size bed, then a 2 meter, 3 meter rug, great size because it helps to frame the bed. It comes out on either side of the bed. You can see I've positioned the rug central to the bed. And so then that creates, this is one story of one part of the design scheme of this room. Now when choosing the rug, apart from the size, if you look, I've got really dark wood floors. I've chosen a rug that is light and it's metallic. And it's an off-white with a metallic finish with our fantastic, what is one of our most popular rugs. It's our laser edged rug with a silver finish. If you look at the detailing on it, it's similar to block printing, which is an ancient tradition in India, but you obviously can't get the wooden blocks to imprint the design onto leather, which is what this rug is made out of, an ethically sourced ox cowhide. So a laser is then used to incorporate an ancient technique, but giving it a very contemporary feel by using the laser etching. So you can see it's really key to always look to see if there's a contrast of what rug you're placing on the ground, so that it doesn't look like a washout. If I had white tiled floors, I wouldn't have chosen a white rug necessarily. Sometimes it works. You really need to try it out to see if the rug and the floors clash in colour or where it looks like a washout. We always offer our clients the option to try rugs out, and this option is always open to you as well. Probably not during the circuit breaker, but thereafter you definitely have the option to take the rug home for 24 hours, place it down, see how it feels. We were more than happy to talk it through with you of the positioning of the rug, but my main tip here when placing the rug is look at how much coverage you want to have to give that sense of luxury to the room. Now I've got an area over here and this is a blank space. Now if I just chose to have a rug over here in this section of the room, that area of the room would look a bit lost. So to balance it out, what I've done is to ensure that I just place the rug in front of the bed to frame the area. So there is again my key point from before, balance and symmetry. You're creating the focal point with the bed, the scale with the height of the headboards. We've got a rug in the middle, we've got the cushions, and then you'll see that because when I designed the ottoman, with the repeat, there was a lot of leftover fabric because of the height of it. So with that leftover fabric, I actually decided to revamp a very, very old ottoman that I'd had since the children were babies, and it was in not a great state. The leftover material I used to reupholster the ottoman, and again I tied in the same little detail of the shocking pink piping. The fuchsia piping then ties it in with the sides of the bed. It's subtle, but very effective. So it's all again in the little details. Now, if you don't have a room that is large enough to have a rug in front of the place, and a question that I'm often asked is, I want to get out of my bed and I want to step on something for texture and the comfort of it. But I don't have a lot of space. Bear with me for 1 second while I pull out another option. Now, a round rug. You saw how we styled a round rug somewhere in the previous workshop. If you see, a round rug fits in beautifully, and you could have a little round rug on either side of the bed, Laura, if you just come and maybe perhaps show it from this angle. So if this were the scenario, you wouldn't have two rugs because your room would probably be ending somewhere over there, this way, and you're just focusing on this side of the room, and you're going to get out of bed and you're going to have something to step on. Now, if you did have this as a rectangular rug, and we've done runners for clients on either side of the bed, that works too. But what is actually would be really cool is I love the contrast of the curve of the round rug against all the angles of the bed. So it just helps to give you a different perspective if you weren't placing a large rug in front of the bed, to have perhaps two little rugs on either side of the bed. Okay? So, what else do we have to create that sense of balance and symmetry? Side tables in a bedroom. I can't emphasize how important they are. Choose matching side tables because that then creates everything at a balanced angle. It creates again that sense of symmetry. Choose a side table that has some decent storage, just so you can put things away at night. And on the side table, have something to store away things like your chargers. I've got my journal, a candlelight lighter, a balm, some of my meditation cards. Can you see if all of those items were placed on this side table, what a mess this side table would look. But placed, if you come a little bit closer, Lara, if placed in a box and stored away, it just looks infinitely better, neater, so that when your overall look is so much more, but not just, it's just so much more peaceful. Now when I designed that box, I did a his and her version. So here we have a male version, and obviously we've got other colors as well, a mask, a journal, so things to just put life away. It's really important to really ensure that when you're going to bed, that it doesn't feel cluttered in your space. And one of the numerous questions that I got when people registered was, how do I declutter? There's only one solution really, as I discovered this week. You just need to throw it out. You need to go through, work out what's essential, and get rid of the rest. Find storage solutions for your space, whether it's a small studio, as someone had asked, or a small guest room. Find storage solutions that are stylish. Here is an example of a console table that I fell in love with immediately when I saw it. And at the time, I didn't really necessarily need it, but I knew that I would always find somewhere for it because I loved it. This now doubles up as my storage for all my gifts. So I have gifts that are stored away in here quite neatly, and it's got the really gorgeous mother of pearl inlay detail. And I've then tied that up with the picture frames, which are similar tones of mother of pearl as well. This is my mum and dad. I sadly lost them at quite a young age, so I love to have photographs of them in my space where I come to every day, every night now at the moment. That's another, I think, a really important tip is, have some happy memories of the people that you love or places that you've been to, with some personalized memories and some picture frames. So I've got my mum and dad here, and on this console, if you look again, if you stand back, Lara, a little and look forward, you will see that this is another pocket of the room. Music. Lots of people have asked me how to create a cozy room. Music is so important. Now, I normally would have music playing, but because we're doing this styling workshop, it would interfere, so I've turned the music off. But have some music. A good sound system in your room really just helps to elevate the space and elevate your mood. I have done this symmetrically. I've started with a speaker because that's the biggest item in the middle, and then I've moved symmetrically outwards. I've tied in themes of the copper because that goes with the copper table over here. You can see it's a side table. This is another pocket of space that I'll be covering in a minute. But the mother of pearl is tied in over here. So you're finding a similar texture or a similar material, and you're pulling it together. Okay, so we've talked about, this is another question that I got. That you've got, so I've got so many, the question was, I've traveled so much and got so many different types of furniture, do all the colors need to match? Here's a classic example, if you look at my desk and this chest of drawers, of something that doesn't match at all. This is in a dark elm wood, and this is a very modern Caricold white and chrome desk. The desk matches the rug. They're similar tones, you can see in the white and the silver. This is one story. This is my study area, which we're going to come on to. Next to it is a dark chest of drawers. I don't love this chest of drawers, but it's hugely functional and I really do need it because all our linen is stored in it. And every bedroom you do need to have somewhere to store your linen. So this is a really now, because it blends really well into the floor, it doesn't seem to stand out too much. I think that over time I got used to it, although originally I thought, oh no, I didn't want it, but it doesn't match at all. So storage, make it stylish storage. Functional storage doesn't need to be horrendous. Another question that I got asked was like bedrooms and having clutter. Here I've got a basket. I put my yoga mat because ordinarily I usually do my morning meditation and yoga practice in here. In fact, immediately after this I'll be doing a yoga class, and I will do it from this space, this gap in my bedroom. So the yoga mat and whatever I need is all stored over there. If you are like me and you are like everyone at the moment working from home and you're looking for that space to work, lots of bedrooms are now doubling up as study areas too. So you can see that I've incorporated my desk into my bedroom. Now there is a plus and minus of that. At the moment a lot of us don't have a choice. We'll just grab any desk where we can work from because you've got other family members to contend with as well. What's the key thing here? Keep your desk uncluttered. Make a commitment to yourself every day to ensure that the desk is tidy before you go to bed. And I know that if I go to bed from as close a proximity as over there and I look across and it's one big mess, I would not sleep well. It's also something that would make me just feel that if I woke up to it, it would make me feel really unsettled. So I would say make a commitment to yourself, guys, of creating a pocket of space where you can use the area to work from. It may not be about a desk as big as this. Even if it's a little desk, just create a clear, tidy user way. There are lots of little, keep it neat. Instead of having all my stationery out, I've used a tea light holder and put it all in so it's easily accessible. Okay, lighting, really super important for a bedroom is good lighting, and to have overhead lights, I think it's just too harsh. You can see that I have got two very large side lamps. Yes, and for above, you can see that I haven't got spotlights. I've chosen to go for the warmer glow of these bulbs. It's much softer feel to the room, and you can't really see because it's daytime at the moment, but when it's the evening and all of the side lamps are on, it's a much cozier feeling. I cannot tell you another key thing to also consider, candles. If you are trying to create a cozy bedroom, light a few candles. There's no point saving them all. I've been hoarding my candles. Like these are lit, you can see it creates such a warm glow. I'm going to also light, this is one of my favorite candles which I got from Melbourne this year. It was a present, but it reminds me so much of the holiday. And I have to say that at the moment where we can't travel, what a lovely treat to smell something that takes you back to the place you so enjoyed being. So I would say, light those candles that you've been collecting, enjoy them, don't hoard them. I'm in my little tidy up. I found so many and I've placed them all around the house, and I'm convinced that this circuit breaker, I'm going to use them all. So enjoy using the candles. Not only will it give it a really wonderful scent, it will create that soft ambient feeling to your room. Lampshades. Let's talk about scale. Here we've got a really high headboard, and if I had just a regular size lamp, I think it would just be completely lost. So the key thing here is getting the scale right. I decided to have some oversized side lamps, table lamps on either side of the bed, because I wanted to create that bold feel to the room. These lampshades by material I collected in Designers Guild in London, and I absolutely adore this print. You might have seen the chair that I also upholstered in it in the other room last week. Lampelier, Jack from Lampelier, she's absolutely fantastic. We talked about what I was after. I brought the bases back from London, and then when we were discussing the sides of the shades, she kept saying to me, you know, these are going to be really huge. And I'm so glad that I didn't chicken out on it and decided that actually I'm going to go for the big lampshades to create exactly the impact that I wanted for the room. Okay, now it's really, I think, a really good idea if you create different pockets, whether this is your bedroom or a living room or any area of the house. Create pockets in your space where each area has a defined role. This is a little reading corner that I have. It's a chaise longue. It's actually really quite old. I think it's now over 20 years. It's held up well, but I think it definitely needs a new upholster. And this just helps me to lie here, read a book, look out at our view, which is incredible, and just enjoy the pockets, functional pockets in your area, and define it. You then have your study area, your sleeping area, an area which is just, this is purely decorative. So coming up to another question that we got, artworks. What is too much, what is too little? If you were with me last week on our first virtual styling workshop, you will see that my living area is covered in wall art. And in my bedroom, I wanted to bring some of that through as well, but less so in terms of vibrancy, so I've gone for more muted tones. To frame this area over here above the console, I've got 4 gorgeous prints by the Brazilian artist based in Singapore, Patricia Caballero. And these are prints of Singapore bridges, the Esplanade iconic scenes. And I absolutely love them. So I love, they're in subtler tones, yes, so some of them are quite bright, but actually they're subtler tones that pick up with the tones of this room. On the opposite side, if you turn around where my desk is, as I said, we're creating pockets in the area. This is a lot subtler. It's of a different scene altogether. And I can't say I loved it when it first came, but I've actually grown to like it because of the story that it tells with this particular area. So it's a seaside scape scene, and what I particularly like, Lara, is I can do a close-up of the framing of this artwork. It's using a really modern, and I love it because it keeps it just kind of contemporary. So is it ever too much or too little? You have to look at the area of the walls that you're trying to dress and go from there. If you come along and look at my hallway area leading up into my bedroom, we've got a series of antique maps. Now, these look like quite a lot, but when we first started, I think we had about maybe this, and that. There were 4. We started centrally, and then we moved outwards. How do I pair the artworks? By the frames. So you can see, if you come a little bit closer, that these 3 frames are similar. Then these 3 frames are similar again. So this is another pocket. This is a large piece, so it has its own distinctive frame. And then 2 more pieces in the leather frames, and then some gold frames that from earlier days when we collected it. So that's got to do with artworks. One of the questions that I got asked, what I thought was a really good question, and that was, I love to accessorize, but how do I not overdo it so it then ends up looking cluttered? If you look around in the spaces, let's go back to this for example, you can see there's quite a lot up here, but there's still space for each piece to breathe. There is still space for you to appreciate each item on its own without it all being drowned out by just too much going on. So find a common color or a common texture and try and pair that together. I think my desk actually does look, it's still, you know, if I could pare this down a little bit more, I would, but then it wouldn't be realistic because then we'll just have these perfect clean desks. But it doesn't work like that when you actually have to get work done. So this is the best that I can do for it at the moment. Now up here is my meditation place where I have got an image of Ulpapa. It's my absolute most favorite yoga and meditation retreat in Sri Lanka. I've got an image of it to remind me of the night that I spent in the lake house. I've got some candles, I've got my cloud light to remind me to, you know, just keep reaching for the stars, and just to kind of really encourage me to continue on a journey that I trust for myself in my meditation practice. Now, I wanted to show you guys as well. You've seen some storage options over there. If you don't want to have to go and invest in big pieces of furniture, baskets. Baskets are a really great way of creating yet another story, another pocket. You can see by putting a trio together like that, that makes it a really interesting, it's stylish. We love selling these baskets. They are by the Helping Hands Penang tribe in Borneo. It's a social enterprise that we're supporting at the moment. I actually feel during this period it must be hard on them because none of their stockists are still getting the products, but we still have them, and if you are interested in supporting them, please DM me and we'll figure out a way of getting these baskets to you. But they are fantastic options. A lovely lady asked me, one of her questions was about bringing greenery into the house, and she asked about styling pots. Now I know people who have used these baskets to place a plant pot in as well. It just gets rid of the ugliness of the bottom. So that's an option of styling a plant beautifully in the home. I have to confess that I don't have green fingers, so I'm not the kind of person that would bring a green plant into the home because I'd probably kill it. And I'm blessed to have a great view. So I would say, if you're trying to bring greenery into your home, a great way of doing that is to ensure that you place your pockets, your chaise longue or your bed or your desk, place it somewhere where you are facing a view with a bit of greenery. That's also a good alternative of introducing the outside to the inside, but just by looking outwards and seeing the green. I think that pretty much answers most of the questions that I got. If you would like any more questions, please ask. Sorry, there was one I've just recalled. I was asked by someone about that their child shares the master bedroom, and how do you ensure that it still maintains some of that adultness in it. Again, let's go back to the simple concept of creating functional spaces within the room. So you can see that if, let's say, this was not a chaise longue reading corner, and this is where my child's bed or cot was, then I would create this corner and let it be a story in itself. Style it so that it's not just functional, but it has its own purpose and its own style, but still tying elements of what's happening there with the rest of the room. To just very quickly recap, any space, whether it's your bedroom, look at the purpose and the function of it, create a focal point, ensure there's balance and symmetry, look at the scale of things. If it's a bedroom, dress a bed, make it inviting, ensure the lighting is ambient lighting and not just harsh lighting. If you have to create pockets of space where you have to bring a desk in, then help tie it in, keep it uncluttered. Key in all styling in any room. And if you come over here with me, I'll show you this area, which is my walk-in wardrobe. And this was an absolute mess. If you've been following me on our stories, you'll see it was an absolute mess. And having uncluttered it, I have felt so much better. So I would encourage everyone during this time to spend a little bit of time throwing things out. Don't, all the things that you've been hoarding, unclutter your space, and it will really create that sense of well-being in your home. I'm now going to take any more questions. Thank you so much for all of you who have joined me on this so far. If you'd like to stay on and listen to the rest of the questions, or there's any others that I have not tackled, please just send us a little message and I'll be more than happy to do it. So I'm just going to take over from Lara now. Thank you, Lara. Okay, so hi Sophia. Thank you. Comment. Sending some love. Love the aesthetics of the room. Need to get some pointers. I would say let's see, look at some of the other comments. I can't see them all, but we've been running for quite a long time now. I just want to say thank you again, guys, for the inspiration and the motivation to clear up my space and chat with you. My network is just telling me that it's kind of running out of the Wi-Fi isn't so great. Please feel free to drop me any more questions that you may have. And I want to tell you a little bit of good news from last week's workshop. I had a lovely lady who then was DMing me with various options of rugs for her home. And just before we started the workshop today, she sent me a message to say that she'd chosen the rug, and she sent me a picture of the rug in situ. And it looks fantastic. So if you feel like now's the time to make that change in your space, go for it. We've got all the time in the world, and I'm more than happy to take you through your choices if you need some help. It doesn't have to be a Cinnamon Room product, but if you do need any guidance with the Cinnamon Room products, I'm obviously more than happy to help you. Now, this is so typical of me. I've just realized another really key question that someone asked, about rugs in this climate. Yes, we do have humidity. With our rugs, which are a leather hide, they have been to the best tanneries that you can imagine. And so I've got 8 of these rugs in my home, and we don't ever dry clean them. The humidity hasn't affected them. They've been absolutely fine, and they're super easy to clean. So you can drop red wine, coffee, it just wipes up. You can hoover them on a light suction and they keep well. So don't be afraid of putting a rug down because of the humidity. If you get a good quality rug, it should last, and as well as you taking care of it as well. But with our hide rugs, they're super easy to maintain. So I'm sorry I didn't get round to that earlier. I'm just going to quickly go through some of the other questions to see if I have missed any. I think that was the only one. I got 17 questions, and thank you all for your engagement. I really, really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your week. I am definitely going to do another one of these, and we're just going to come up with the topic of which room. I had one of bathrooms, which made me just think, oh God. but it's a great idea. So perhaps we'll do that also on hallways and runners for hallways and how to measure that up. So if that sounds of interest to you, join us, and I look forward to sharing more tips with you soon. Bye.